Hi, welcome to TJ Go Home Inspections, where today we talk about the importance of having a home inspection. And this can be an inspection for a number of things. First one is you're looking to buy a home. Another reason is you're looking to sell your home. Or you're usually looking for a yearly inspection, or just because you're a builder built something, you want to verify that it's structurally sound for your family. There could be 100 different reasons why you would want an inspection, but it's very important. And here today, we're going to go over a few items that I find on a basic inspection, and I would find that these things would be the average thing I would find wrong with any home that I do here in the state of Maine. A lot of times here in Maine, we have homes that are anywhere between 200 to recently built. I have had several homes that were in the 200-year range, and they were honestly built way better than modern standards. And so you just sometimes gotta just be amazed with the build quality back then. So let's get started. So the first thing we're gonna talk about is one of the most common that I can see here in inspecting is foundation cracks. Foundation cracks on their own, depending on what the leading cause is, it can be practically nothing. It can be settling. The concrete couldn't have settled correctly, or conditions are not always 100%, and so they can crack. Now, cracking over time with poorly done foundation, getting old, unstable soil. I mean, the list can go on. But that'll be on a whole different video when I go break these topics down into more bite-sized, understandable pieces. But I'm just going to kind of go over a cost where a standard foundation crack that needs to be repaired can go anywhere from between 380 up to about 10 grand. It's not common that I run into foundation cracks that need to be repaired to that is up to thousands of dollars, but they can happen, and you just never know. A small simple crack that that no one took any mind to could be lead to something really big. But proper maintaining and keeping an eye on it and consulting a foundation or certified foundation inspector or guy who deals with this on a daily basis can give you way more information. Well pumps. More rural areas have well pumps. It's not like a city water where they have the water fed in from the city or the town. Well pumps normally go. It depends on the type of pump you have. Or, sorry, well. For example, here mine is a 385 foot down well, which needs a jet pump that sits at the bottom of the well and shoots the water up into my home into a pressure tank, and then the pressure tank helps build up the water so it can have anywhere between older homes are about 3 to 5 gallons per minute, where they can get up to 10 gallons per minute. It's not as powerful as city water, but it does the job. So when we do inspections, I can't speak on behalf of everybody else, but I know typically when I run an inspection, I let the water run, especially in rural areas. I let it run for a while, because normally when I'm doing a rural inspection, I'm doing a septic and a water test. And when I let the water run for a while, not only am I letting kind of getting a diagnostic of the water pressure of the situations, making sure that the pressure tank is going well, making sure well pump's going too, and then the water test will take care of what's wrong with your well. Is there arsenic in your well? Is there chloroform in your well? Things like that. And it's definitely recommended that you get your well tested for bacteria every 6 months to a year, especially with seasonal changes. You just never know. These are all average costs. It can go, depending on, you don't want to buy a home where it's not properly tested and you're out another $900 or $2,500. That's something you want to make sure on the up and up. The next is electrical. Now, here's the funny part. Here in the state of Maine, electrical is a little, yeah. So homeowners are allowed to do whatever they want. They're electrical, and I always recommend that you get a certified electrician to come do your stuff. But in the state of Maine, we would have something called knob and tube, the standard fuse style, where it's a little screw-in fuse, or standard breaker, for various models. Now, when you do the breakers here in the state of Maine, as long as they're installed to the manufacturer's intended use, for example, knob and tube, if it is installed where there's no insulation covering it, or the fuse style, they're perfectly fine. It's the loan type that matters, mostly government loans, and they don't like that. They won't list a house loan with it on there. I've heard of some certain cases, but most of the time, no. So that's got to be replaced. And if you're buying a house sight unseen, and you're a VA, FHA, and stuff like that, and the appraiser or someone doesn't catch that, that's expensive, especially if it's a 100 amp, 200 amp service. I mean, you're looking anywhere between $1,200 to $3,500 just to get that replaced. Hopefully it's just a breaker that's already set up with the ground. If you got to rerun ground wires to your entire house, you're looking at a pretty pricey thing, and that's something you probably want to know during your inspection. The next one, and a lot of people overlook this thing, is gutters. And why do I harp so much on gutters? Gutters this, gutters that. Why do you got to put those in a report? Well, there's a reason why I put gutter. I like to see gutters on a house. They help channel the flow of water from your roof away from your foundation and set at least 10 feet away from the foundation. The reason why is all that water comes off the roof and soaks the area of your foundation. Not only can it get back into your foundation, but it erodes away all that soil. And especially during colder seasons, when that happens, it causes the soil to expand and contract, and it can cause a lot of issues, sagging of the house. You got foundation cracks, foundation bowing, and that leads into the foundation crack issues, but sometimes it's caused by that. And, gutters, some people don't understand that, that can cost you anywhere between $2,000 to $15,000. So spending a few $100s to get gutters in place to potentially weigh off thousands of dollars, I honestly think I know which pill I'm going to swallow. And I know gutters is, you gotta clean them, and you gotta maintain them. If that's something, an issue that you can't do, or remind you, let me know during the inspection. I'll be more than happy to program a reminder text when every single year it pops up for every season. It says, hey, just me popping in saying, hey, it's time to change, look at your gutters, or hey, do you want me to come out and inspect your gutters? You want me to clean your gutters for you? Hey, if it helps you save thousands of dollars, let me know. I'll talk to you. A few $100 here and there versus a couple $1,000s here and there. That's a big difference. And so, now another common. This is really chimneys. They're the next one on the item, and I constantly see these improperly flashed. And a lot of times when you put flashing, it connects the roof to the chimney. And back then that was the good style. Now, chimneys sway back and forth, which loosens a part of the house. So then the most common thing I find is that water will get into these side of the flashing that separates. That's a very common thing. So, snow, bugs, rain, mice, all those can get in there. So the proper way to do that is making sure that the chimney itself has an apron or another set of flashing on the outside, so when the bottom part sways back and forth, the top piece stays on top. And so, on a lot of these older homes, especially when it comes down to roof caps, also having the crown taken care of, which is the mortar or concrete basin. Sometimes they're metal. Those are properly maintained. It's not a lot of people think about chimneys. And how many times I've seen them with the chimneys deteriorated, or it needs to be fixed. And chimneys are not cheap. We're looking anywhere between $750 to another $10,000. If you've got to replace the entire chimney, or you've got to cap it off and remove the entire chimney, you're looking at some serious bucks there. So, another thing that ties into gutters and everything is your drainage. Is your house's slope around your house, is it properly set? Is it naturally draining water away from the foundation? Is there setting water near your foundation or on your property? Those are a lot of things to consider, because water over time erodes and moves things around and settles and compacts, and so it can cause a lot of problems there too. And drainage isn't cheap either. Another 2,000 to 18K to make sure your drainage of your house is properly, because like I said, things shift here in the state of Maine. Things freeze and the ground expands and sinks, and so there can be a lot of issues there. And so, which comes into another bread and butter of mine, is septic. Septic inspections are a big must. And the reason why is, and I hate to say it, but over here, a lot of people kind of make them feel like a magical machine or a magical concrete basin, where a lot of their stuff is not, they'll have to worry and just turn a blind eye. Another thing is, people, you can do it very restrictively, but I still don't. Every time I see a garbage disposal on a tank, I have never passed it. The material, the little small pieces of food that get broken down into the tank don't have enough time to break down and do proper, like, bio waste, and so it will get up into the filter, if you're lucky enough for your system to have a filter, or go straight up into the outlet, go out into the field and just stay there and clog up the pipes for your leach field. I'm not going to go into too much technical terms right now, so I'm just trying to keep it nice and simple. So that's another thing to consider. Does your house have a septic and a garbage disposal? Because any inspector who knows, you use a garbage disposal on a leach field, there's a good chance you're going to have a problem. And then at the same time, you don't pump it regularly, depending on what your reach. And then also at the same time, a lot of people, when they put additions on the house, make them bigger, they don't update the septic. And so your field has to work overtime for the amount of extra time, which could flood the field or cause more problems. And so that's another thing that's important, especially when newer Maine code and all the other stuff. You've got tanks that are 2, 3, 4. I mean, there's one we're doing here soon. It was 4 feet deep. I mean, you're not going to dig that up every single time you're pumping. So risers need to be installed. And risers are a big thing. I mean, no one wants to sit there in the middle of winter thinking, oh no, I've got to go pump my tank because it's either full or it's backing up into my house. Oh, I can't because there is about 8 inches of solid ice on ground. On top of that, there's probably another foot or 2 of snow or solid ice on that the snow's compacted. So then you've got a lot of issues, because a lot of companies won't sit there and dig up frozen ground. I know a lot of home inspectors will, but not too people think about, oh yeah, wait, we need to call somebody now to come pick it up, and most companies won't do it. So taking that in mind, and septics can go anywhere between 5 to 20K depending on where you live. I mean, I hate to say it, I did a house that was $1.8 million. It was a very, very, very nice house. But as soon as I opened up the septic lid, immediately I failed it on the spot. Water was already in the lid, already over the outlet baffle, going back into the house. It was a mess. And it turned out, garbage disposal on a ritzy house, never been pumped before. I get it, you're a snowbird, but you gotta get that pumped. And you gotta get that thing yearly checked out. Yearly. Because things can change, things can happen really fast. And last thing you need is in the middle of the winter or in the middle of the real estate transaction to find out, oh, by the way, you need a new field. Oh, by the way, you need a new tank. God, there's been times where I did an inspection and the tank's basically falling apart because some guy decided to drive their truck over it. That right there is setting you back several K, and that's just not good. So you want to make sure all of this stuff is on the up and up, and you've got time to fix this stuff. The next couple of services are tie into the other stuff like water tests. Those things help you determine if the water is drinkable, if you need a system, because water tests are big. I mean, you don't want to be sitting there thinking you've got safe water, and all of a sudden you need a almost $6,000 machine because you have radon in your water. Or you have arsenic, you have lead, you have mercury. There's a lot of things that you need to be testing to make sure your water is safe to drink. And then Radon air, radon water. Radon water is a very good test to do, because the last thing you want is to turn on your faucet and then every time you're taking a shower you're getting blasted with radon in your face. I can go into more detail about radon here in a little while, to try to give you a glimpse of that lovely gas. And then radon air tests, they're not the most reliable. The house's conditions change constantly with the seasons. You can go a couple months completely closed up. The house is like a hot box now, trying to keep us there. Then you got spring and winter, which are sorry, not spring and winter, spring and summer and fall, where the house is wide open, like just completely wide open. And it doesn't mean anything because now the radon has nowhere to go. So trying to like, say you had your house open up all summer and then I tell you to do the test, or I need you to close it for 12 hours, close it, it's not going to be the same as I'm doing in the middle of the winter. It could be higher, it could be lower. For me, it doesn't matter. So you can do it to get a good baseline, but the only way to really tell what your true radon levels are is by having a machine there for one whole year and just a constant year test, and that can get a little expensive. So I always recommend that you do your due diligence with radon. If I do a test and it does come up high, I will recommend a second testing back and forth, and then take the two results and put them in, because things can change. Because there's a lot. So I hope all this could help. I know it's a long video, so sorry for the bore. And I will have more follow-up stuff on each of these services, kind of breaking them down to understand what we do in depth. I will have some videos of me walking through a home at some point and going through the processes of what I go through. I know every inspector is unique. Every inspector has their own niche and has their own unique quirk about inspecting homes. So stay tuned.